Wells only and his guests are not responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weak hands. Where the haters at? Y'all bitches still ain't showed up. And now, right, we got Hex. Flawless uptime. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart.
This is Wales only. Glad you guys can make it out. I'm making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're gonna pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. We're obliterating everybody, literally. There is nobody else that comes close to what Hex has done. Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. Shit, motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. I mean, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all deep. Everybody. My God. Ex-Asians, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. Everybody gets me. Yo, Wendy's done told you. Dollar Cost done told you. Everybody done told you. It's crazy. What's good, fam? Happy, what is it, Thursday to all? Everything is looking like it's supposed to, and it's very hard for people to wrap their heads around that, which is interesting. Because if they were paying attention, there wouldn't be no surprises. But you know how that goes. People rarely pay attention. So, if there's one thing I've learned from this whole thing called social media, is that people, there's a reason there's a 1%. Let's put it like that. Yeah. So in this stream, I want to keep it pretty basic, because it's very basic. People have a hard time understanding how markets work, which is interesting because given how people talk, you would think it's something contrary to that. You would really, these people would really have you thinking that they have a clue, but when you just look at the comments that they make, it's pretty obvious that people are, I don't know. I don't know if it's that they don't understand what they're saying, or they don't understand how things work, or, they're just retarded. I don't know. So let's talk about a couple basic things, like what happens when somebody buys or sells something. When somebody buys or sells something, that means they're exchanging one thing for another. Okay? Very basic, right? However, this eludes most people because people talk about prices doing A, B, C as if they're magically doing it by themselves. Like prices just magically move up and down solo, which is weird because that's not how it works. So if something's going up, somebody's pushing it up. If prices are going down, somebody's pushing it down. I mean, that's how markets work. It doesn't matter if it's crypto or legacy, it's all the same. Um, so, I just wanted to get that out of the way because that's pretty much the most important thing to understand about markets. So, when you're looking at the chart and it doesn't look like you'd like it to, you should comprehend it is because people don't understand what they're doing. Because if they're complaining about the price being down, then why are they selling it down? I don't understand. And then on top of that, let's specifically speak on Hex. From the outset, it was laid out that the whole purpose of Hex is for you to buy it, stake it for however long you want, so you can make coins while you're staked. If it's a bear market, guess what you don't have to do if you're staked? Find new money to get more coins. Wow. Crazy. I know. Baffling, right? It's one of those things where, if you don't read, you're probably not going to get it. If you don't listen, you're probably not going to get it. So a lot of people just are getting left behind, because never mind the morons that are EESing, right? Because, I mean, you see it daily where you have people emergency and staking, and they're still exiting with ROI. Still, because the stake is so long, but it's already been so many days. So they've surpassed that 50% mark so much to the point that even though they're busting that stake, they're still making a 50% ROI. I mean, you can see, if you follow Whale Hex, like you can see several examples of this happening. So it begs the question, why do people like selling for a loss? Because if your stake isn't even supposed to be over for another 500 days, for example, because there's one that was the case, but I mean like 40 or 50% ROI overall, but the stake still has like 500 days. Why would you sell it now? I don't understand. Um, so seeing stuff like that, you know, how is the broader spectator set? People that are just watching from the sidelines because they're clearly not staked. They clearly don't understand what's going on. So they're just a spectator, right? You're not even a speculator. You're a fucking spectator. So you don't even have room to talk. Just shut the fuck up and enjoy the show and watch us get fucking paid. Because you can't see further than your little nose. And that's most people. That's why there's a 1%. Period. Now, the thing about the 1% that people don't understand is that they think it's really just a certain group of people. They don't understand because they're too dumb to think and realize that they can propel themselves to that same category. And those are the people that get left behind doing the same dumb shit over and over, pretending that they're making progress, but they're mad at the world because they're not. Shout out to everybody in the chat. So these are things like you got to really keep these things at the forefront of your mind when you're trying to move through time. Like, am I living how I want to live? Are the actions that I'm taking me in the direction that I'm trying to go? Like, these are very basic questions that a lot of people really just don't ask themselves. Because if they did, they would have an answer, and you wouldn't see all this following, and people would use their brain. But what do you see is the opposite. What you see is totally the opposite. You see people looking for a finger pointing them in a certain direction, and they don't care if it's gonna be bullets coming at them right there. No, they don't give a shit. They just want somebody to tell them what to do. Hey, good luck with that. That don't work, and it don't matter what you think. Your opinion is fucking irrelevant. That don't work. Because at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're taking aim through somebody else's scope. Shit ain't even yours. So are you taking the shot or is somebody else taking the shot? Sounds to me like somebody else is taking the shot and you're just hoping that they hit because you don't got a fucking clue. And if that's how you want to rock, good luck with that. Because at the end of the day, it's your money. And that's what people don't understand. There's certain people that want long money only. They don't want a couple dollars. So they don't give a shit about sitting in the red because it's irrelevant. Because the name of the game is already outlined in how the stakes are made. But if you expect somebody to lay it out for you step by step what you're supposed to do for free, man, you got another thing coming. Because you're already getting everything that you can get for free. And that's the thing that people don't understand. There's certain things that you need to know, that you got to learn, that you have to take action on. You can't be mad at the market because everybody else is a schmuck. Very simple. Markets go up because people buy shit. Markets go down because people sell shit. 1 + 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Like it's really that basic. So if you want to be mad at somebody about prices being where they are, you have to really grasp the severity of what a market is, how markets function, and what causes a market to go up and down. I mean, it's comical. People make these comments as if they really have a clue, and it's obvious that they don't. Obvious. So let's get my face out the way. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna run through some stocks, just random stocks, nothing specific here. What I want to highlight and show is how capital is moving throughout markets, right? Because there's this common misconception that the only thing getting smoked is hex and pulse chain and shit. And that's not the case. You have to understand how markets work because fact of the matter is everything is not going to go up and down at the same time most of the time, especially in a market where everything is so financially engineered depending on the political spectrum on which that entity sits. Now, this is a fact. It's not an opinion. Again, you can put your money wherever you want. You can do whatever you want with your money. However, it's imperative you understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. At the end of the day, you're the one that's going to suffer the consequences of your actions, not the person that's telling you to fucking face dive into a fucking pool with no water. Capiche? Because at the end of the day, not your idea, not your call. So you got to really understand that first and foremost. So right now we're looking at Apple stock. And every chart is going to be 5 days per candle. So we're going to basically be looking at the last 4 years of price action. Now, if you've been around watching stock markets, then you understand why this chart, Apple specifically, looks like this. I shouldn't have to go into detail as to why Apple is up and to the right. But the thing you have to understand about this specific story, because stocks revolve around narratives. Stocks aren't like cryptos. They're not. And that's why Bitcoin's narrative, Ethereum's narrative has changed over time. Those narratives have not been consistent. That is key to understand to the game that you're trying to play. Because I'm not talking about fucking with meme coins. That shit is irrelevant. Everybody understands what that is. You think you can buy that shit for the long term? Good luck with that. Clearly not what I'm talking about. So if you don't grasp that, then I don't know. Smoke some more and reflect on that. Apple or any other stock is literally something that's predicated on the work of others. Narratives are necessary, if not imperative, because if there's no story, then what are people buying into with the stock? Just another fucking ticker, right? And that's not what moves people. That's the thing. So even though from one perspective of the market, you can completely ignore narratives, from another perspective, narratives give you the underlying really ammunition to ignore the narrative at the same time, because you understand that people are just looking at things from a certain perspective regardless of what is true and what is false, right? And this is what drives stocks. It's not the fundamentals, because if that was the case, Amazon would not look like this. And let me give you guys a better perspective on what I'm referring to, because it doesn't look like what I'm saying is accurate. But yeah, look at this chart, right? This is Amazon from 2003. Let's give you the whole shebang. Let me get rid of these Bollinger Bands here. So this is Amazon. Its entire history. Literally up until like 2015 or 20, they were not a profitable company. Not a profitable company. Not a profitable company. Not. Baba, same thing. And everybody knows Alibaba, right? Everybody was talking about this stock when it was trading up here. Everybody, right? And if you guys paying attention to this chart, look at how it didn't do anything during the Rona crash. I mean, it basically stood still and went higher after that. But look at it now. So what changed? What changed during the last 2 years, 3 years? That this stock is now like nothing you ever, because this is not what it looked like up until September 2020. It was all roses and shit, right? And then it wasn't, right? So this is very critical to understand with respect to the game that's being played here, because people like to pretend like stocks and cryptos are the same, and they're not. Period. End of fucking story. That's a fact, not an opinion. Because if the narrative didn't matter, then certain things would not be true and certain markets wouldn't move how they move. Now let's keep going through this list, because I'm going to go through damn near every stock. And if I know what the story is or the whys, I'm going to tell you. If I don't, I can't speak to it. Now, if you guys know anything about healthcare, right, there's going to be plenty of healthcare stocks in this list. I'm pretty sure of it, because this list is made. I basically curated it a certain way. And I'm not going to go into the particulars because it doesn't really matter, but this is a filtered list of stocks that meet certain criteria, right? And the thing to understand is that the technical reality of a stock is based upon the fundamental reality as the market sees it. not as it is. And that is called the narrative, not the truth. Whether it's true or not is always up for question and debate because the facts with the scenario is always changing, right? Because we're talking about human beings here, not a strip of code. We're talking about an organization called AbbVie Inc. That's a pharmaceutical company that makes drugs and shit. So that means people work here. Research and development is a thing here. It's a research based biopharma company which engages in development and sale of pharmaceutical products. Now, if you don't understand what that means, let me give you a little color here because I used to be an analyst for the sector. What this means is if they don't have any intellectual property surrounding their products, they're not really making money. They're just selling generic shit and they must sell through volume. They got to do the Walmart play, right? So, what you might or might not know about the healthcare industry is that Obama essentially socialized it. And what that means is that money's going to flow into that motherfucker regardless. And we see it. It's going to happen by hook or crook. And that's what we've seen over the last 3 years. So guess what? The market understands that they're gonna pile into those stocks, and they're gonna let the tide do the work. Because this is what happened right here. All right, if I throw on the volume, do I have the volume on here? Yeah. You're gonna see the highest point in which the market had any activity was during this dip, and I'm gonna get rid of the price just so you can see. Need I say more? Again, there's opinions, which means shit, and then there's facts, which are in your face. And you either choose to analyze and respect them, or you choose to let the universe teach you a lesson. I'm cool with learning lessons, but I'd rather get ahead of it if, I had a choice and I knew that's what was going on. But that's just me, right? Now let's just change the angle on the candle so it's a little more clear, right? Like I don't know how else to put it, right? So sometimes these things called narratives become self-fulfilling prophecies because that's how the market just operates, right? That's why technical analysis is a thing. That's why all these things are a thing. That's why TA is so easy. Because if the market isn't doing what's in line with the narrative, then you know something's off. Period. Get out, come back in later. Very simple, right? Very simple. Let's go to the third stock, Airbnb. Now, you guys know real estate's been getting crushed lately, right? So Airbnb is where it should be, which is below its all-time high, which came during the past couple years. Once in 2021 and again towards the end of 2021. So basically made the top with the rest of the market and now it's climbing with the rest of the market. Question is, with this stock, because it's always in the news, are the regulatory impacts or the policy impasses that are trying to be imposed on the organization's activities, are they going to pass? Like, because a lot of that is what drives activity in this stock. Simply put, because if I go down to a daily candle, what you're going to see is some selling activity, because over the past few days, there's been some recent talk about all that nonsense, what I just told you about, regulatory friction with respect to local jurisdictions, whether they be in America or offshore. It's all the same. Because that's friction for revenue growth, right? And that means no money being made. So this is Abbott Laboratories again. Now, what's interesting here is that this is a healthcare stock that isn't high flyer. right? It ran up from the bottom of 2020 to the top in 2021, and this has just kind of been a laggard since. So these guys must be fucking up in some major way, that I just don't know about. But if you bought when the buying was good, right, you're still up 40% or so. And that's the point, right? You're still up, even though you messed up and then dump it at the top. But who did? A lot of people didn't, right? And look at that. I mean, this is literally what you see. Lowest volume of the year was at the top. Nobody did shit. This is when the activity took place. And what happens here is that you have the smart money coming in to buy, and just in case it's difficult for people to see, you had the smart money coming in to buy, and the dumb money selling out in size, right? And then what you see up here is the opposite. Smart money exiting, which is always going to be a small fraction of people. Smart money is never the masses. It's never the group. This is why I don't understand why people like doing what everybody else is doing. But again, this is why there's a 1%. Remember that. Very critical lesson, right? And here you see it live in the data, right? Everybody and their mama is selling here. Barely anybody is buying. Everybody and their mama is buying here if they're buying, and rarely anybody is selling. You see it. It's right there in the chart, right? So it's things like that. And here you go again, another local top where any rarely any activity. It's crazy, right around this area, rarely any activity. So it's just commonplace that these are the types of things that humans do. They don't know how to act in general when it comes to markets. You have to learn, right? That's a learned skill. Some people might have it by default because they're naturally contrarian or whatever. But that's very rare. Every person isn't wired like that, and then if you are wired like that, you got to be able to really listen to your gut instinct, because even that's hard for people to do. So, it's a complicated scenario. AES Corporation, I think these are comms, like a communications contractor. Let me double check. Yeah. So these people are contractors. So they do whatever. They basically bid on contracts for the federal governments and just governments worldwide to do whatever work the governments don't want to pay soldiers to do, or whatever service member they engage. So let's see. So you see they got U.S. Strategic Business Unit, South America, Eurasia. So they engage all these different governments in those different jurisdictions to conduct projects wherever they do it. Like they were in Iraq, they were in Afghanistan. Like these people are all over. They have people working in the U.S., et cetera, et cetera. So you see, these people are clearly going to benefit from the growth in the communism state, right? In the growth in the state. And this is what you've seen, right? Once again, what the interesting thing about this stock is that the volume activity is actually pretty consistent. Uh, from that perspective, I'm trying to see if we can gather more information as to why. Just from looking at the data. But what's cool is that the day of the bottom, or the week of, that's literally went back to the 2016 low. So smart money knew to hit that, right? Because if you go back, I'm pretty sure you're not going to see, those prices. Previous low was in 2009. So this 2016 low, it even precipitated the previous 2010, 11, what is this, 12? Yep. All those previous lows. So understanding capital flows and taking advantage of opportunity, all the smart money knew to just buy at this low. Like, and of course, all this ties in with the global macro picture and the sentiment of the moment, right? Because every point in time, there was some China stuff going on here. If you were in the markets, you know what I'm talking about. Every low that's marked on this chart, literally, is marked by extreme sentiment, period. That's a fact. Same thing here. And obviously, we just lived through this one. So, same thing there. right? And this is, we're going stock by stock here, right? This is 2021, 2022. So again, another stock that from the top of 2022 is just taking a shit. Now let's check on that because I haven't really focused on that. Apple's been up all of 2023. So there's a select few stocks, and Apple is one of them. I'm not sure if it's all the things, but I think this year it's a new batch of stocks, and Apple's included in that batch, that they've been running and gunning this whole time. But lately, the party's been over. In July, the market's been doing different things. So the question now is it that inflation is really starting to rear its ugly head in terms of the future earnings of all these stocks, right? Because that's the question that people are asking themselves now. That's why they're dumping Apple of all things, right? Because you got to think it's either people that got in down here selling up here taking profits, or something else is going on, right? And if you look at the size of the volume candles, I mean it's pretty sizable, right? Relatively speaking, like you can tell the average is like down here somewhere, right? So you got some outside candles right here, and the question is why? Because we all the way up here. It's not like we even down here, right? Where you got some more outside candles. So those are the types of things you got to take into account when you're looking at the broader market, right? And again, AbbVie, we talked about this stock, but if you look at it year to date, it really hasn't been doing shit, right? In fact, it's actually down. And this is a stock that should be at all time highs, but it's really near all time highs on a 5-day basis, right? And again, Airbnb has been riding high because it's one of those tech stocks. Abbott, where we just talked about this one, they've been dropping the ball. So 2023 is looking like whatever for them, right? It's just like a flat year, not anything going on there. And look at this. This is again a government contractor. So what the fact that this stock has been rolling over all of this year tells me is that the sentiment surrounding this stock is in line with what is actually happening politically. Because you have all these things getting rolled back in terms of expenditures that they are typically tied into, right? Because they're a third arm, they're a third party. So third parties, when there's an existing symbiotic relationship, such as one between the government and the military, right? Because the government is civilian ran, and so is the military. The government runs the military. The commander in chief is the president, right? There is no sole person in the military that runs the military. It's a civilian that runs it. So this is important to understand. So once there's a third party engaging in that symbiotic relationship, that third party isn't entitled to the benefits of being a member of a federal or being a federal employee. They're not entitled to that. So the government has to compensate them in other ways. So that means they spend a lot more money with these federal contractors than they do with the service members. For example, a service member's pay is static. Regardless of the service and the job, you're paid on your rank. Period. That's it. Right? So even though you could be the smartest motherfucker in there and all the services that matter, your rank is, your rank. And unless you're in some type of position that gets you some type of special pay, you're not getting no special pay. You're not getting any additional pay. You're just getting your basic ass pay, and that's it. Done. So if these cats, right, aren't getting paid to do the work that the government needs done on a third party basis because either A, it doesn't want to pay, or B, it had to roll back or pull back from the mission, meaning it's just no longer happening, or C, which is the worst case scenario for them, the government, is they actually had to pay all these soldiers. Because the thing you have to understand, while it's cheaper, or while it seems like it costs more to send a contractor out there, a private military contractor, a defense contractor to go out there and do these things. It's not. It's cheaper because what happens is that you got to send all this equipment out there to wherever, and that ain't cheap. That ain't free. Then you got to get that equipment from A to wherever it has to go in that theater, in that jurisdiction. And then C, you got to set all that shit up. And then behind all that, you got to get the bodies over there to do that shit. And you either hiring people over there to do it, or the soldiers are doing it, or somebody's doing that shit, right? I mean, I could go down the list, but you get it, right? Somebody's doing something and it costs money. And when the feds are being squeezed like they're being squeezed over the past year, you can see people understand. And this is just evidence, right? This is just supporting evidence because if you look at what's happening elsewhere in markets, well, as it is here in AMD, that stock's been going up all of 2023. And it looks like it's getting set up for another takeoff. Probably put some money in that. So these are the types of things you got to look at, right? These are how you really look at stocks. Facts. I mean, I did this shit for too long. This is just how it is. And there's all these narratives pushing these things higher that are going to bring people to the table to put money on it. The question is, what narrative are they going to drop on you at the top? And if it's been positive this whole time and there's cheap money flowing into here, and now we're finding ourselves in an environment where money's expensive and it has to find somewhere to go hide because, things are getting so expensive that it has to find returns now. Right? So now we find ourselves in the opposite side of this odd paradigm. And why is it odd? Let's think about it. And right now I'm going to go just to look at a regular index. We're going to look at the SPY, which is just the S&P 500. Let's look at the SPX. And let me put it on 13 days. 21. 55. All right, so each candle is 55 days, all right? Whew. So as you guys can see, this data set goes back a long ways, right? Going all the way back to 1870 freaking one. It's probably really 1869, which is when this data set really starts. Oh, nope, they didn't start until 71. But it's all right. 2 years ain't going to make a difference. Now, what's obvious in this chart? The most obvious thing is that the prices are going up and to the right. Right? The value of this index is up and to the right. And yeah, you got periods of sideways in those yellow boxes. And of course, you got periods of volatility, which is what you're seeing here. Right? I mean, look at this. This is a well-known pattern that you even see on intraday charts where markets range in the pre-open. They take off, dump to shake people out, and then that's the rest of the day. I mean, that's a trend day. That's so common. That's literally how it happens. I mean, you can go pull up any day. You can look through 250 days of stock market price action, and you will find this pattern more often than not, up or down. That's a fact. Not an opinion. You don't got to take my word for it. Go look it up. Because this is damn near every market. Humans drive price action. Even if it's a bot doing it, a human had to code that bot. Okay? I mean, this is so basic. I don't know why I have to explain it all the time, but when people are out here giving and promoting misinformation, I got to make sure that the right information gets out. Stat. Because honestly, people can't afford to be misled because it costs money in this world to be misled. If people cared about that and not their egos and corny ass shit like that, It could be a different world. It could be. All we can do is hope for the best. But at the end of the day, the objective here is to understand that while stocks go up, right? Because what stock were we just looking at? Let me take a look back here. We're just looking at AMD, right? And the last year for AMD was up. And now the cost of everything is so high that people have to find returns. Now we're entering the other side of the paradigm where, for the longest time, the narrative behind earning money was it's the thing to do, right? But the reality has really been and that's the way to store the value of your money, because what's really happening is that the purchasing power of that currency, the dollar, right? This is what we're looking at in the dollar has been debased this entire time. So when you look at anything versus the dollar, it's gonna look like this if that's what's been happening for a long period of time. Right now, if we price this stock market in United Arab Emirates dirham, let's see what happens. Oh, look, it looks the same from 91 to now. Now, why do you think that is? And I've given this little speech before, but this is important to understand because this is why you really move yourself or put yourself in a position where when you don't make mistakes, right? When you go to that next level of thinking. Because, yeah, things are down in dollar terms. But what does that mean? We really got to understand what that means. Not just complain about it, right? So the United Arab Emirate dirham has been debased so much, right? Because that's what this is showing. It's been debased that much. Where is it? Where is this fucking thing? Maybe it's here. Yeah. Yeah. This thing has been debased so much that from when it started getting tracked in the 90s, it's gone up 15x against that currency. Now that's crazy, right? From 1990 to now, 15x. What has it done against the dollar in that time frame? From 1990 to now. Let's cross check. Was it like August, right? August 90. I'm gonna laugh if it's worse. Nope, just 15x also. How about that? So is it the dollar driving that debasement all the way through other currencies? Because that's what I'm picking up. That's what the math is telling me. 15x two times? That ain't no coincidence. Let's keep looking. What else do we got here? Afghani. I don't know I can't even imagine what this is gonna look like. But this is an interesting exercise. So let's continue. Because again, the idea is you guys understand what's happening. 16x. So keeping in line with the 15 trend. All right. And again, you guys got to realize this is not a coincidence. And we couldn't go from 90 on that chart because the data started in 2003, and this one it starts in 2099. So we'll go from there. 99 to this. 2x, so not as dramatic, not as drastic. Let's go from the low. 6x, so not as dramatic, right? Just 2 to 6x here, depending on when you bought. And this is again the SPX and these different currencies. right? We're looking at relative pricing, relative price action, because this is how you have to look at these things, right? This is the reality of returns and how they occur. It's not, just because something's happening, blah, 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 whatever, my feelings are hurt. Like, that shit don't matter, yo. What currency is this? Netherlands Antillean Guilders. This is a Caribbean currency. Let me get rid of this. And this is going back to 98. Let's go here. Let's check. Forex, and nothing crazy there. Right, so you guys are seeing what I'm talking about, I'm sure, by now. Let's go to the Argentinian peso just to do one last check. And this is what's coming in the U.S. while I'm laughing. 183x. And how does this 183x happen? Right? Do you guys understand how these things happen? Because this economy is wrecked. If you know anything about Argentina, is that they've gone bankrupt multiple times over the last 25 years. And these are the things that nobody talks about when they talk about returns and markets. Why do you think stocks look like this? Because currencies look like shit. That's how you get 183x in the stock market. Where you don't have to put in any effort to find it, right? Because this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a plain old index and its returns. I'm not talking about putting in any legwork and doing speculative endeavors here. I'm talking about straight, cut and dry, basic, plain vanilla, whatever, right? And this is important because, this is how you realize the decision you have to make in certain instances. Now that we have a good grasp on what fiat does, now I see somebody talking about the Saudi Royale, the Real. Let's see if that's even in here. I'd be surprised if it wouldn't be, but there's a peg. So because there's a peg, I would presume that it's gonna just be like maybe 15x, like the U.S. Yeah, probably just gonna be 15x like the U.S. 12x, close enough. But that's courtesy of the peg, right? Because if you look at the USD versus SAR, that joint should be flat, sideways or whatever. Yeah, because there's a peg, and the peg is at 3.75. So that's what's going on there. So now that we got a good grasp of relative pricing and we have a good grasp of what the drivers are, right, for markets, right? Because it's not every market is going to be driven the same. We're talking about stocks specifically and how they are really narrative driven because there are people involved in the operation of said entity that exists to generate certain revenue streams via certain business engagements. This is a fact. This is not an opinion. So this notion that crypto is the same is false. It's misleading. If there's a narrative underlying a cryptocurrency, run. There shouldn't be one. Doesn't matter what anybody says. People that like to make the claim that utility is irrelevant are the irrelevant individuals because their asses aren't going to be around for long. Guarantee you that. Why is it that anybody that has a brain understands Hex and knows Hex needs to exist? Yet all the morons and midwits can't wrap their heads around it, nor the necessity to engage in the idea of staking and shit like that. Like everybody wants to make money all the time. That's a fact, not an opinion. Here's this opportunity to do so, and people scoff at it. It's comical, really. Right? And then what's even more comical is they try to scoff at the price performance of the coins as if they're not the ones causing it. Because if you speak negatively about something and you influence another individual to sell out of that coin you're speaking negatively about, to jump into that coin you're speaking positively about, what do you think? What do you think you're doing? I mean, you can't be that stupid, right? People can't be that stupid, but apparently they're retarded, or they're just that disingenuous and duplicitous. I mean, you pick. I'm just laying out the facts, right? As we see them, because we see them. They're doing this shit, right? But again, if we're looking at what's been driving stocks over the past year, again, another tech stock, Baba, a tech stock that hasn't been doing hot, but yet it's up on the year. Let's confirm that. Nope, not up on the year. It's flat on the year. And Baba's going through some changes, right? His portfolio's underperforming. It's known as a major VC and all this and all that. So it has a lot of reasons why it's looking bad. It's not just generic, right? And again, that's funny. Yeah, people can't be that stupid. Steps outside and still sees face diapers. Yep. People are that stupid. That's right. I'm clearly being facetious. All right, so here's a bank, right? And we haven't talked about banks yet. We talked about tech stocks, and we already kind of went into Alibaba earlier. But banks have been kind of a different game, right? Banks have been driven a lot more so by, again, their respective policies and the things that make them make money, right? And right now, rates are high, but these banks are high risk right now because people are understanding what's happening. Interesting. Again, in a bank, you find the political reality being reflected. Because if you look, prices are where they were in 2020 here. Let's see where this was. Prices are, oh, look at that. Huh. 2020 prices. Once again, what's another one that was in the shitter? Abbott. Oh, look at that. 2020 prices. What a coinky dink. I mean, it's like I'm making this shit up. It's almost like I'm making it up. Right? But I'm not. This is just how shit works. And you just got to learn that because why would I make it up? I don't have any reason to. I don't know. Look, even Amazon, even though it's up, it's back at 2020 prices. But it's up all of 2020. Right? It's crazy. So here we are, the top 2022, right? All we saw was a bear market for banks or the market last year, and banks were they weren't absolved from that pain, and it just continues. So the question now is the market actually setting up for a run? Because it kind of looks like that here, right? Because you got this positive divergence and all that, but flows will be the ultimate determinant. We could ultimately see just a move like that because something crazy happens. Because we understand that the economy is not in good standing right now. Everybody sees that. This is why they're constantly preaching that everything is okay because they know it's not. That's what they have to say. That's how they have to put it out there to let the universe do its thing. It was this big loss. This is a retailer. I mean, people are broke. I don't think I really need to go into this one. But topped out 2021, never looked back. Right? I mean, looks like might have some capitulation down here, maybe. Maybe. I don't know. Hard to say because we're right back here again, and the low was 478. I mean, we're just basically 75 cents away from there. So, hard to say. Maybe this is a point to buy according to the all-time history, but this begs the question: is Big Lots going to be around? Because they're a retailer, right? That's what you got to ask yourself. Because if you're going to play the long game with a risky play like that, where a stock is clearly not even far from its all-time low. I mean, a buck 22, buck 20 is an all-time low. I mean, it's only $4 away. That's not a lot. I don't care how cheap the stock is. That shit is not a lot, especially when it already went down. 80%, 90%. Like a $5 move ain't shit. Somebody just got to put no bid on that, and that's it. All right. What is this? Bristol Myers Squibb. This is another tech or health tech joint, right? So this is another pharmaceutical. Again, same story. They're not making the right moves, and they're either being politically affected by the moves that they're making, or the market just sees that they're not making the right moves. Let's get a little more fundamental color on what these clowns do. Engages in discovery, development, licensing, manufacturing, marketing, distribution. So I don't hear these guys' name mentioned a lot lately. Maybe they just don't have anything in the pipeline because they used to be. I used to hear the name a lot, and if they don't have anything in the pipeline, then this is definitely being reflected in the price performance, given that everything else is up in 2023 and they're just going down. I mean, they're down 30%, 20%, or let's see, 80 to 60, 25%. Blackstone. Everybody knows what's going on with Blackstone, so of course they're going to be up all 2023. They're all in the news. And now they're ready to launch a what? More real estate shit. So BlackRock, that's the Larry Fink guy. Those are the World Economic. I mean, every finance megalith or mega company is tied to World Economic Forum, but these guys specifically deal in real estate and real estate, private equity, real estate investment solutions that are catered to whoever wants to either invest in their REITs or in their private affairs, right? But as you guys know, real estate's been getting smoked. So the expectation is because real estate's still getting smoked, but the prices is going up, right? So there's a political reality underpinning this scenario where Blackstone gets bailed out if things really hit the fan. So this is why you see them up. It's all about the narrative, folks, when it comes to stocks. Banks, again, you got negative divergence or positive divergence, excuse me. Interesting. Breaking news. Supposedly, Hunter Biden indicted on firearm charges. Interesting to know. Give me a second, guys. So yeah, it's really critical. I'm really trying to help you guys wrap your head around the difference between a stock, what drives it up and down, and what's supposed to drive a crypto up and down, right? Because they're just not the same thing. Very critical. So again, we got the top of 2021, and look at what happened. And from December, the beginning of the news of Rona, all the way into March, right? This stock dropped, I don't know, 50%, some crazy shit like that. Even more, maybe 60, 50%, right? Excuse me. Now that's insane, right? Because the average bear market is 30, 35%. Now, if we go back to be Airbnb and look at that chart, it wasn't even now. What was the other chart? No, it wasn't this one. Wasn't that one? Maybe it was AMD, or maybe it was Alibaba. Let me see. Yeah, Alibaba. So if you look at this chart, right? Alibaba basically nothing, and all the tech stocks are gonna look like this, right? I just wanted to pick this one just to show for dramaticism, for dramatic effect, basically, because now it's in the dumper, right? So Alibaba only went down 25%, right? That bank, City, went down 50%. 50% versus 26, right? And then the rebound was something crazy to the point that we just only see new all-time highs, right? All up into the top. And I'm telling you guys, all you saw in the news was this damn stock. That's all you saw. Right? Now, what was the move? What was the rebound move that we got here? 101.5x. You didn't hear anything about Citigroup during this time. Every stock was going up, sure, but that was not the focus of the narrative. You understand? Because the idea is that the media is used to get you, the people, into those things that they want to dump on you. Right? And those things at the time was Alibaba. That's why now it's down 70% from that point. It is what it is. The idea is to learn. I remember we're gonna get to this stock. Where's this stock at? Somebody was talking to me about this fucking stock. And I was just like, really? This shit definitely about to roll over. This must have been when I first got back to the office, which was last year. Yeah, last year around this time I got back to the office, and it must have been around this time because we were still on some old floor we was on, and they moved us to some other floor, and it was near that time because it was near when we moved. When we moved in March, I think, but it wasn't that long. It was a while ago already. We already been on this floor for a minute, and ever since this dude made this comment, this is what's been happening to the stock because people have to understand. With stocks, you gotta look forward. You can't look backward. Where actually in any market, you gotta look forward. You can't look backward, right? If you look backward, what happens is that you get left in the rear because that's the way you're looking. You don't see what's coming. You don't understand what the market is thinking. You don't understand if the narrative changed for the market or not. Like you just believe whatever you want to believe, and that shit does not work with stocks. It just doesn't. Give me a second, guys. I'm lighting up. And the reason it doesn't is because once again, the narrative for the stock changes and you don't know because you're not in the know. You're just a normie. You're not supposed to know. It's not for you to know. You're supposed to get your information from the financial media. So you're welcome. And thank any YouTuber that's worth their salt because motherfuckers be out here lying, getting you wrecked, acting like they're doing you a fucking favor. It's comedy. Yeah, we're all waiting for that one, right? That shit might happen sooner than we think. We'll see. Because that shit, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Obama's already getting exposed. And I didn't expect that shit to happen so soon. So the fact that it's happening already is kind of wild to me. So, and this is just a little interlude. Uh, be ready for some crazy shit to happen because you guys see what they're doing. It's what they're doing. They're letting the border's open for a reason, right? Let's talk about why the border's open. Because I'm Hispanic, you know what I'm saying? You would think I would be, for open borders, but you got to understand, no fucking Hispanic that's here or came here, the majority of the people that are here and are Hispanic did not illegally cross the border. Common misconception. Very, very common misconception. There's a million ways to get here, and what's happened in the past, I don't know, 20 years, really in the past 15. Wait, when Obama take over? 2008, right? Yeah, so past 15. What's happened in the past 15 years? And this is an aside from the market shit. We're going to talk about immigration and just the political aspect of that. Over the last 15 years, they've made it a onerous process to become an American citizen in a few ways. A, the background check is now ludicrous. It's ridiculous. B, it's more expensive than it's ever been. C, everybody's a terrorist, which goes back to number one. And what's the other word? Or what's the other point? Damn, I lost it. But the point is that when you're looking at the proliferation of people coming over illegally, the requirements have become more stringent, right? The interview process is more ridiculous. And yeah, don't get me wrong, there's always people trying to commit fraud in any process that stood up. So that's neither here nor there, right? But let's be honest. The propensity of fraud is always nil relative to the claims being made by centralized bureaucrats. That's just a fact. Just a fact. Another thing that people don't know is that the reality is that the Hispanics that actually wanted to come here are leaving. They're not coming here. So the Hispanics that are coming over and all these other people that are coming over are either gangbangers, criminals, like violent criminals, like real people that you don't want around you because you're a pussy and you're not built for it, and those are just the facts. And it's okay because the truth is okay. Because why would you want scum around you? I don't understand. But the problem isn't even just that. The problem is that this scum is gonna be here and nobody's gonna want to do shit about it. That's the problem. Because we're letting a whole bunch of fucking pedos make this shit happen right now. A whole bunch of pedos and tranny lovers are the ones doing this shit to the country right now. Everybody's just standing by watching this shit like it's okay. The governor of Texas is a clear fraud. People in Texas aren't saying or doing shit. So they must be a fraud by default. Just by association, they're guilty for letting it happen. All those little locales down there on the border should be shoring up their shit because it's their jurisdiction to man. The state should have no say in that because that is how the United States actually works. But that's not what you see. What you see is motherfuckers waiting for orders from the top. And that's how you know everything is a fraud, people. All you got to do is read. It's very basic. Very basic. So ultimately, what's going to happen is you're going to have this influx of people in all of these cities because the political reality surrounding these individuals that are causing these scenarios, these are their soldiers. These are their weapons of mass destruction. This is how they're going to impose the pain in your jurisdiction, is by spreading all these people out because they have their mission set. They know what they have to do. They're coming in here with fresh haircuts and all types of shit. So these people are really struggling and seeking quote unquote asylum from their situation. How do they even have a fresh haircut? I don't even have one, and I cut my own hair. So how are these people that don't supposedly have anything have fresh haircuts? Yeah, Texas is definitely a fraud. Texas is like Switzerland. Biggest fraud out. And if you don't know how to read the room, you ain't gonna know. You're gonna really think Texas is about freedom. And no, they're not about freedom. They ain't about shit. That's why all them illegals is coming all in through there. And not even illegals, right? Fuck all that. Fuck the terminology, those unwanted individuals, because whether you're illegal or not is irrelevant. Do we want you here is the fucking question. And the answer in this regard is gonna be a wholeheartedly motherfucking no. No. I don't want no motherfucker that's liable to be raping kids and shit up in here. For what? Why do I want that? Somebody explain that to me. Help me understand that. Because that's literally what's happening. Right? So people can't sit here and pretend to be about freedom and all this gay ass shit when they ain't saying nothing, complaining, pointing nothing out, none of that. Nothing of value is being said or discussed or anything. People are just okay with it. Clearly. So that's what's happening with that whole illegals across the border. It's just a setup for the Democrats to unleash whatever pain they want to try to inflict on people. So if you don't understand that, good luck. And if this is your first time hearing that and you weren't really aware, well, you should probably start getting yourself weaponized because it's going to get real at some point. They already did it in 2020. Next time it's going to be way worse. Way, way worse. There might not even be communications. So there's not going to be no cops to come help you. There's not going to be nothing. You're going to have to be fucking ready to rock. So good luck to all, because that's really what's coming. And, when it comes to this political shit, I'm never wrong. So you roll the dice on that if you want. Good luck with that. All right. So let's keep talking about these stocks, right? So these are the things that you guys got to understand. Narrative really drives, and right now the narrative in certain arenas isn't good, right? So this is a medical distributor, right? A medical distributor was doing what this whole time? Pushing and getting paid for distributing whatever healthcare related crap they're going to distribute, right? So if you look at the bottom was 2022, but the stock was kind of rising the whole time, right? Like all since 2020, higher lows the whole time. So basically, anytime the stock took a dip, big buyers came in and didn't let it go lower. And ultimately, you guys got to understand that this is a Rona driven stock, right? Because if Rona is the thing that's in motion politically, money's going to flow in that direction. And if these guys are a medical distributor, 1+1=2, right? Now, this one is one I haven't been able to make sense of yet. So it leads me to believe that they're just buying back the fuck out of their stock. And Caterpillar is well known for doing this. So, whether they have or haven't, I haven't confirmed. But, I mean, we know the world is in a recession. Economically speaking, right? Nothing is going on from that perspective, right? So, what is Caterpillar? They're a heavy equipment company, heavy equipment production company. Hold on, guys. They're a heavy equipment production company, right? So if people are moving earth, they're getting paid, and the movement of earth implies the expansion of something, which means some money is coming in from somewhere, right? Because everything costs money. So I don't see where they're moving earth like that outside of corrupt Democrat cities, right? Where they're gonna just, well, maybe they're out in Ukraine getting paid. Who fucking knows? But my bet is on financial engineering. CBRE real estate. We already know what's going on there. We talked about that. And as you guys can see, they've been topped out since 2021 and just been trading sideways. Cleveland Cliffs. I don't really know what these people do. Steel what? Let's see. Operates as a flat roll. Still okay. So they just make. All right. So they just make like stuff that makes steel formed stuff. Like they make molds and shit like that. Iron making, like just a whole bunch of mill stuff. They make milling equipment basically. So I guess this is just a function of the Ponzi right here as well. Comcast. Now everybody's ditching cable, so I don't even know what these people are doing to make money. So odds are they're probably buying back stock also. I mean, look at the volatility in this chart, right? Over the past 6 years, it's basically flat, right? You're just going back to 2019 prices right here. So not a great look, especially with these round turns. These round turns are never a good thing in a stock after making a new high. Coinbase, this stock is always going to be driven by news, but right now it's looking like it's getting set up for a mega move to the upside, at least $200 or so, because it has that inverted headed shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder, and now we're getting look like it's starting to do a little breakout. So yeah, this one is another one. What was another one that was looking good too on a 5-day basis? Hold on. AMD was the other one. Alright. Woo. They looking like you're ready to go. Alright. Alright. Costco. You see it. If you don't know, these patterns are the biggest profit producing patterns in every market that I've known of. Futures, stocks, FX. So, get in where you fit in because this shit's about to go parabolic. I mean, it already hit that 470 area, months ago. It's already up $100 from there. So, take notes. I don't know. Like, these are all things that are basic. You can, like, Google these facts. Like, there's not really a lot you need to learn from people. Like this notion of somebody on YouTube needs to tell you some shit is wild. Like, all you really need to do is get the idea that this thing exists, and then you can run with it from there. Just make sure you're getting all the angles on that thing, because that's really how you find that success, right? Making sure you have all the angles on that thing. Because those blind sides, man, they're killer. They're really, really killer. And that's really important to understand, man, because it's what you don't know that gets you every time. Now, this is Cisco Systems. This is a very enterprise driven business. And what that means is that they're business to business sales. So if the companies aren't buying shit from them, they're not making money. If they're not leasing their equipment, whatever it is that they're doing, this company isn't making money. So that's why this stock is so volatile and it's so it's a crappy looking chart. I've never liked Cisco from a long term perspective because of that. But it's one of those slow moving, highly liquid stocks that you gotta wait for it to decide to do what it wants to do. And it's just a weird stock. It's just a weird stock. Like, look, it's only now getting back to its all-time high of the tech bubble from the 90s, like just now. So, I mean, is waiting 20 years cool? I don't know. Some people think it is, but this is where you started at, right? 7 cents. Hit one. All right. So it's things like that. You guys got to understand. Stocks do what they do because of narrative. And I don't want to keep beating this, this damn thing into the ground. But let's go look at Pulsex now. So we're clear on how stocks move. We're clear on what makes a stock go up, down, yada yada. Um, that in itself is worth everything you ever learned from me, because if you really start applying the first hour and 10 minutes, or really the first 30 minutes of the stream, to your real life and your financial investment decisions, I mean, it's going to change everything. How you look at shit, how you approach it, all of that. Because there comes a point in time where you got to understand the fundamentals of something when you're investing in it. Why does a narrative make sense for a stock? And why does it not make sense for a crypto? That's the important question. Because again, everything moves in cycles, right? So if we understand that everything moves in cycles and we understand or claim to understand that we're playing this long game and crypto's a long game and we're gonna be doing, all this winning from holding crypto, and everybody knows you gotta hodl because Bitcoin and ETH were hodl situations and blah 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 blah. Right? I can go on for days with all the fake shit people saying because we know they don't act in that regard, but they sure as hell say it. Right? They say it. So let's wait for this damn. I freaking hate this. This is why I got 3 of these tabs open, because this. Sometimes this thing just ain't working. Yeah, see. All right, finally. All right. So this is gonna be one of those times where I'm gonna be able to throw that done told you meme out there, right? So I'm just letting you guys know now during stream, so you're not surprised later on. This is more than likely the bottom, right? Now, why would I say that? Well, how much selling do you really think is left after everybody and their mama thinks everything else is a better trade? And I'm just talking about PLSX. I haven't even talked about Pulse Chain. This is just one of the many. We're now back to where the ratio is 4-1, or 4 PLS to PLSX. I mean, everybody was buying 2.5-1. Right? So it's understanding these things, guys, is going to separate you apart from the pack. I went over, I think in the previous stream, what happens once we go over this little volume node right here, right? But the thing is, you have to understand that now that we're trading down here, that volume node has to build lower first, right? Because this is the one we got to get over. And this is what we're seeing already. We're already seeing this. And look, price is really liking that lower bound of 8,900 with 5 zeros on it. So it's really on you to assess the market, right? You really can't depend. Now, I think this is the bottom because of sentiment, all the clownery we're seeing on Twitter. We got all these buffoons making these ridiculous claims as if they have a clue. When if you've been understanding what's been going on this entire time, your bags have only been growing this entire time, regardless of whether the price kept going lower or not. Because what are we guaranteed to see? People do foolish things with money. That's what we're guaranteed to see. That's just the way it is. Now, if we let's try to look at PLS. Let's go look at this one. $14 million liquidity. See if we can open this bad boy. All right. Well, look at that chart. The one thing nobody's buying, and apparently somebody is. The things that happen when you're not looking. Right? While everybody's talking about everything else and they selling their PLS and PLSX for whatever else. Hold on, guys. This is what the market's doing. Not caring. Trading higher. Because that's how it works. That's just how it works. So, this is why you DCA. This is why you play the game to win, not to play yourself, which people have a very hard time doing. I've realized something lately that really helps me understand why you have people that really are special in the true sense of the word, and others that are just, they don't care to be like everybody else. They rather be like everybody else. You know, success be damned. I want to be with the cool retards and shit. I mean, my whole life has been that. It is what it is. You got cats wearing the Sauconys, and then you got everybody else that ain't wearing the Sauconys. And in New York, Sauconys ain't a cool fucking shoe to be rocking. So clearly, I don't mean you looking cool with that shit, but you'll see the masses rocking that shit. It's just what happens. So it's like you see masses rocking these platform shoes and shit. Nah, man, you looking dumb. 1%ers ain't rocking that. But that's how it goes, right? That's how it goes. And the reality is, I guess some people are just born that way because we all just evolved to become what we are. Some people just learn that they are what they are. Others just let the world dictate to them what they are. Question is, where do you draw the line? That's the question. Where do you draw the line? And only you can answer that one, right? Man, this chart looks like shit. I don't know what's this. Anybody have any idea if that's clean or not? Let's see. That's V3 too. See if that shows here. Is that what that is? I mean, again, guys, the whole idea of everything that I was telling you with regards to the stocks is for you to really wrap your head around the reality of what it is to look at one market versus another. That's critical to understand. Now, this shit is 2 years, 4 months old. This pair. Why not? Oh, this is four. Wow, hold on. Let me see. Yeah, this wasn't even the same. So this chart is just fucked. Something's up with this chart. Because the other charts don't got this little mark here. This wick. Anyways, point is, as you guys can see, everybody's ignoring the markets that really lend themselves to success. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it's pretty simple. The whole notion of crypto, and if you're already in PLSX and PLS and Inc. and all that, it reasons to stand that you should have been listening before launch when everybody was making up all these plans, and it was pretty apparent that nobody really knew what was going to happen. And because nobody really knew what was going to happen and this had never been done before, the best bet was really to just play the long game and to be willing to DCA. And that's exactly how it played out. Exactly how it played out. Now, if you were quick enough to take profits instantly as soon as it launched and you were able to bridge out and you didn't fuck it up and all that, yo, congrats. Because for a quick hot second there, I was a fucking multimillionaire too, but that wasn't my plan. My plan was to bring in fiat. That was what I decided I was going to do. And anybody that was paying attention heard me say that because that's what it's about. Now, what evolved after that was even better because I didn't expect to be able to grow my PLS bag in the ecosystem so easily. And the first few months, that's what materialized if you were not playing yourself and you understood the simplicity behind the system that we were given to play in. And a lot of people, they still don't. They honestly still do not understand. And I don't know if it's because they don't want to or, maybe people are too good at getting in their own way or whatever. But, it's never been easier. I don't understand why this has been so hard for people. To the point that people think they gotta sell their whole bag and announce it on Twitter like somebody gives a fuck. Like, nobody cares, man. I'm sorry. Like, do what you gotta do, take care of your business, and keep it moving. Cause you coming back. So who cares? Yeah, this shit is comical. I mean, it's comical. It's comical, bro. Like, I try to be a nice guy. But people make it hard. People make it hard to fucking not be a dick. Cause here you are sharing information that's verifiable, factual. We know what's happened with Bitcoin. We know what's happened with Ethereum. We know what's happened with products that have with code that has product market fit. We've seen it already. And here we are staring at two protocols, three that are better. Already. Two that are yet to be completed. And people are crying because nobody's holding their hand. I guess they don't understand what no expectation of the work of others means. I mean, do I really got to sit here and break down what a securities? I mean, I just did it. The difference between a stock and why a narrative works and matters is exactly because people are underlying that ticker because it represents an institution, it represents an ideology, an idea, a narrative, a thing, a thing that's alive, not just text and characters, not just a string of code. We're talking about something that could be metaphoric versus something that can only be simile because it's an inanimate object. I mean, do motherfuckers not pay attention or read or nothing? Like, I don't know why this is still like a debatable topic. This is very simple, very easy. In fact, it's very straightforward. So to continue to act like this confusion and all that, you gotta realize that these are people that are out here to mislead you, confuse you, and pretend like they're innocently being curious. Hmm. Yeah, I was that person. And you know what? The fact that I spend every stream telling people to not be that person, guess what I'm going to do when I see those comments? Oh, yeah, that done told you meme is coming hard body. Because I'm not going to give a fuck. Because every stream is going to be just that. That's exactly what it's been since day one. Every stream that I've had has been exactly that. Play the long game and don't play anything else. If you want to speculate, go ahead, but understand that your main mission should be the long game. Nothing else. Because if you don't play the long game, you're assured to lose. People complaining about being down 99% and all this. So what? Don't you know what this is? Are you not paying attention? Do you not get the game that you're playing? And do you not realize that that's people that are selling it down? That's people giving you an opportunity because they don't get it either. I mean, this is lower from when I got in. I got in at 5.5 cents or 5.5 with two zeros. So even I'm down, and I've been in this whole time. So what's the upside, right? That's the question. And this is where the hex basics comes in. right? If you've been listening this entire time, you're not even thinking about the price because you understand it doesn't matter. Because you understand that if you set up your ladder however you want it set up, then you don't got to think about it. You really don't, because you got long stakes at least 5 years from when we started talking about it. And these interim stakes, if you got short ones, because everybody has short ones, because everybody did it wrong at first, you just toss it back out to wherever you want. And if you want to take your profits now, that's on you. It's not on anybody else. Because everybody else that didn't care sold their bag down. That's what happened. And don't forget the day of what was it? I think it was it July 31st? It was July 31st. That was a day where everybody's EES and selling their bag, all this and all that, in regards to E-Hex and P-Hex. So everybody's been ignoring it this whole time. And what do you see on social media now? All these clowns talking about all these cornball coins. And I mean, hey, if you're making money, that's cool. But I'm gonna tell you what, you better be able to juggle two things at once, because if not, you're gonna have a hard time here in the future. Near future. Like next couple weeks or so. Because at the end of the day, what do you want? Everybody's claiming that they want more PLS, more Hex, more this, more that. But they're not acting in line with that. Or are they? I don't see that they are. Because there's nothing wrong with speculating. But pretending like you don't need to have a long game, something definitely wrong with that. And that's a fact. As anybody that's been short sighted their whole life and hasn't achieved shit, that's what happens. You don't achieve because you think because you run into an obstacle, you gotta go do something else. You don't understand that you gotta just keep going. Problems don't solve themselves. You solve the problem. Markets are no different. For markets trading down, why is the market trading down? It's trading down because other people have lost faith in how some code was written. That's the narrative for stocks. For crypto. People have a preference for fiat. During this period of time, people have preferred fiat over making more hex. That's what I get from this image. Because what are people selling hex for? Not more hex, not maybe other crypto, but the other crypto is down too, right? If you look at any other crypto that's been around as long as hex, it's down. Hold on. Let's look at this liquidity bag. Weeks. Oh, right. This isn't gonna have. Sorry. All right. I mean, this is not an impressive looking chart. Oh fuck. All right. So for whatever reason, there's only 2 years of data here. Let me go over here. I don't like this short shit. All right. So since the market quote unquote bottomed in June 2022, hasn't really been looking that hot. It's just been chopping sideways, right? It hasn't really recovered the price level that it needs to recover to get bullish, which is 2,100. Right, it needs to get above this drag net. This is going to be a drag. This area here is going to be a drag until it's not. And until it's not, the chart structure is going to be pretty crappy looking because that's what we're seeing so far, right? And if you're looking at the MACD, that doesn't even look bullish. No way. It looks very bearish. And this is on a 5-day basis, right? So if we zoom in, what does it look like? Looks like we're going to get a pop right now, right? But we can already see it's going to be short-lived because on a longer-term time frame, it's not looking too hot, right? So either they have to drive it higher or it's going to lose this floor. And if it loses this floor, I don't know. We'll see. But maybe people are saying, nah, we're going to keep that right here. Because you had some pretty extensive selling on the 11th. And the past 3 days, including today, right? Yesterday, day before, it's been nonstop Rip City. And we're higher than we were on Friday or Sunday, excuse me. Yep, definitely are. So maybe this is a reversal in the works. Short term, albeit, but a reversal nonetheless, because everybody was losing their shit on the 11th. And again, right, this just speaks to the sentiment and the extreme, right, the extreme reaches of sentiment that you see in markets, right, where people really thought Bitcoin and ETH were falling off a cliff, and here they are, $2,000 later, like nothing even happened. In Bitcoin's case, and Ethereum's case, it's $1,000. So, or I'm sorry, $100. So it's just a matter of understanding. Let's look at the total crypto market. Look, it looks just like Bitcoin, right? Because total versus total two, which is this formula that you're looking at the chart now, that's just Bitcoin, right? 500 billion. Let's take a look. Does it show us a market cap? Yep, here we go. 520 billion, right? And what do you see? 520 billion. So this is just Bitcoin's market cap. And we got, again, right, the bottom, which for Bitcoin was in November, apparently, not June 2022, according to the market cap chart. Fuck. Nope. Guess so. And then total two is everything else, right? And everything else looks like ETH. Because everything else is tied to ETH. And you guys will figure it out one day. I'm tired of explaining it. And this, as you know, given that it's not exactly ETH, it didn't bottom out till December because ETH bottomed out June, right? And that stuff didn't bottom out till over here when ETH finally ripped. So these are things that are important to note, right? In terms of the differences in these markets that are really, really the same, even though you think they're different, but they're really not. Because you guys got to realize, right? And I talk about this stuff all the time. Excuse me, I need to take a little water break. All these other chains that we have that are like ETH, they're really just that. They're just ETH, right? And I mean, if this chart, the market cap chart, doesn't really help you get that, I don't know how else to help. Because damn, this is pretty obvious looking to me. I mean, just look at this. Jesus Christ. That's ETH and everything tied to ETH. And that's ETH. So ETH leads, clearly. Leads up and down. All right. They are playing games with the gold market, folks. Just so you're aware. Same thing with the silver market. They are playing games. Now let's talk about XLM and XRP. like to rail on these because I used to hold them both, and it pisses me off. Uh, so yeah, this is the all-time chart, right? Now, if you got in back here when I got in, yo, it's easy to understand why nobody can tell you nothing about XRP and XLM, right? Because they both look the same. Same deal. Same exact shit. This one doesn't give you the whole history for whatever reason, but same thing. Let's see. 17. Yeah, this was out before that. But it's the same thing, right? But these guys did a little worse. Because, let me make sure. Yeah, they both actually have the same exact chart because I was buying down here in both of them. XLM didn't go off as far as XRP because XRP doesn't have that central bank connection because the guy that. So, everybody I'm sure knows the story behind both of these coins. I don't want to get into it. But XRP is more tied to governments and the Ponzi, and XLM is not. It's more tied to money laundering via NGOs. So that's the difference between both. Thus, the difference in the valuation, right? I mean, it's basically a 5x difference, right? Now, the messed up thing is that if you're holding both of these, I mean, I had to double check that these were on logarithmic because I just didn't think that they were. Because that's how crappy the charts are, right? Like if you got in recently, like in the past 4 years, 5 years, like you've done nothing. So this is why it's important to understand that where you put your money is important because the code doesn't really have a narrative tied to it. And when they try to have a narrative tied to it, it doesn't work. And here's the example of that, right? These two coins are the perfect example of that because that is what gave them their pop, right? This was when you were seeing, man, I still can't believe it. This is when you were seeing tutorials on CNBC on how to buy this thing. Right there is when they were doing tutorials. And look, on the last bull market, didn't even get that high. So hold on, guys. Yeah, that was a long one. All right. So again, this is XLM, right? You go to XRP, same deal. Oh shit, even worse. Didn't even get halfway there, right? Didn't even go to $2, or it did, barely. Oh no, it didn't. Damn, that's hurtful. So again, narratives matter. They just don't matter in crypto because they don't last long. They're elusive, because narratives are fleeting. The narrative for XRP has changed also over time. The narrative for XLM has changed over time. And if we look at any other shit coin, I mean, fucking name one, it's gonna look like shit, man. Is there an accident out there? Alright. I don't even really know how to look at any of these other shit coins, so bear with me, folks. Just trying to look for the spot, and you can't even find the fucking spot. I mean, this is insane. Spot crypto DeFi. Let's go with Bybit. I don't know what this is gonna look like. Bad choice. Let's try again. Spot crypto DeFi bond. Maybe Binance will do us some justice. Clearly not the beginning of the chart, right? But again, this is just another protocol that took off with DeFi summer, yada yada, topped out, and hasn't recovered, right? But something's holding it on. Some's holding it, right? But it's just been going sideways since May 2022. So it's been going sideways for a year and a half. I mean, this is just a random pick. I don't know. Somebody give me another one. Anchor, is that one? Yeah, I don't know how I picked that, but seen that shit somewhere, I'm sure. Same look. All right. Bottomed out January, and it's just been chopping sideways, really, right? Really ain't done shit in the past 2 years. Sideways. It's another random coin. Uh, fuck. Maker. Yeah, that's one. Um, same shit, man. Same shit. So you guys get it by now. Sure, I can stop here, but this is why these protocols don't look like ETH and BTC. Right? There's a reason for that, right? And the important thing to realize about Hex that's different from the rest of the market that a lot of people like to ignore is that Hex doesn't need to be on ETH. It could be anywhere. It's portable. I don't know if people understand that. It's portable. Yeah, I'll take a look at Matic. That's a good one to look at. I'm pretty sure that should been a round trip. Spot crypto. Yep. 2021 prices. So like it didn't even go anywhere. Unless you got in early, right? Which was possible if you were paying attention in 2020. You're only up 5x though. But I think even Hex is up that. Or is it by launch price? I can't remember. Let's see. Uni. Oh, okay. I guess it's not at its launch price. Alrighty. So it's way up from its launch price. How about them apples, asshole? Yep, still up 12x. 12 and a half x. We'll round it down. Whatever. Who cares, right? So still up 12x. Litecoin. Let's look at this trash. Yep, been going sideways for 5 years. So yeah. What's this? Graph. Here's another one that's mega trash. So, a lot of people like to talk shit about Hex. Let's just remember what's happening in reality. Right? And then when you look at the meme coins, understand, make your money, but don't try to turn a hoe into a housewife. And if you a female, don't try to turn a promiscuous dude into a, you know, husband material. Like it just ain't gonna happen. So you gotta understand that because characteristics are embedded in the code, right? You can't ignore what's reality. Not when it comes to money, you know, you can do whatever you want in your real life, right? But because our world is susceptible to that, to those fake realities, because we see it. But when it comes to markets, yo, that shit don't work. Everybody better be believing that shit. Everybody, not just you. And everybody better be making that decision when they're clicking that button. Because what's true is that right now, Everybody's chasing returns, and we're seeing it in the market prices because the dollar, that shit is running. So people are even chasing yield. Yeah, people are chasing yield because guess what? Interest rates are 5%, and everybody's in the hole interest rate wise because when it was the time for them to shed duration, they didn't do it. What did they do? What did they do? What did they do? They fucking tripled down on duration, is what they did. That's right. Oh my God. And look, you guys got to understand, I can't respect anybody from that side of the line because they don't understand that. These people think that shit makes sense. How can a conversation be had with individuals that think they have a full cup? You're a fool if you think that's something to do. Nah. So, when you're looking at everything else, optimism. That's one of them fucking, isn't it? What's God damn it. What's the ticker on that shit? Is it Optimus? Optimism. There you go. Get this bullshit pulls up. All right, this is just another EVM chain, right? That's all this is. See if it even gives you anything. Let me see. Yep, that's the right shit. Yep. So again, it's just a bunch of what now when you look at this one, right? Why is it even up? Right? Because everything else is down. Why is this up? Right. It's up because everything else is up. Right? When we were looking at the rest of the crypto stuff, right? ETH is up, Bitcoin's up. I think even that's up. Yep. Now Hedron though. Not Hex though. Right? Rarely up, barely up. Not up versus ETH. Hex is not up versus ETH. Right? So when everybody's putting money in one direction, the masses are doing this. Right? What's another one of these? Arbitrum. I don't even know. Oh, I clearly spelled that wrong. Arbitrum. All right, let's see. Yeah, okay, I had the right guess. That nonsense is up. Right, but this is another one that just launched the other day. But all these coins are the same. There's no difference between any of them. Right? And that's just a sad reality. That's why it matters that Hex does what it does and is what it is. That is sacrosanct. There's no other reason to talk about it. Otherwise, it's like every other coin. Who cares? Tired of making that point. If it wouldn't be for the staking functionality where you get more valuable crypto, who gives a shit? Nobody. Well, at least somebody's watching and paying attention. So these are the things you got to really keep in mind when you're perusing in these markets on social media with a whole bunch of morons think they have a fucking clue when they don't. Because again, what are they doing? They're sprinting. They're sprinting in a marathon. How much sense do you think that makes? Sprinting in a marathon. And with that, I bid you folks a farewell. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Peace. right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. Shit, motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Trust
that.
us. 100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. I mean, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Yash deep, everybody. My God. Ex-Asians, bro. Everybody.